Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Co-Star, the official newspaper of the Borough of Belmar, and the Asbury Park Press on April 18, 2017, and notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to remember our troops abroad and their families here at home. Thank you. If the council will join me off the dais for a special swearing in.
Municipal court.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now you like to come up?
All right.
How you doing? Good. What's up, kids? How are you? How's the game today?
Good.
Did you guys win?
Yes,
12 to 1. That's nice. All right, so let's have you stand on. Yeah, no, reverse. Yeah, you stand on this side.
There you go.
You guys hold the Bible. Just put your left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Patricia White, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties as court administrator to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Can we get a picture? Sorry.
Yes, picture.
Thank you.
There you go.
Hey, guys. Does he look familiar? Do you see him a lot? You think we should buy him a different color than black?
Yes.
Wait, green?
Wait, come forward. You guys gotta get in the front, though.
There you go, in the front.
Hey, come, council members. Oh, this one. Couple steps. 5 steps forward. There you go. Council members. Shorter council member in the front.
There you go.
She'll go first. Okay, come on, sorry.
Ooh.
Should we turn sideways?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do the same
There
picture.
you go. There you go.
Administrator.
And 1, 2, 3, one more.
Court.
Thank you.
There you go.
So wait, so everyone's clear. So when we get a ticket in town, we come to you and you take care of it? You eliminate it? You white out the ticket? Would you like to say a few words? Yes, okay, what would you like to
I
say?
just want to thank the mayor and council for this opportunity.
There you go.
Pat, do you want to say a few words on your mom's behalf since you were so short?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, wait.
Wait, we have one.
You have to sign this.
Okay.
Very good.
During our moment of silence, we usually remember someone who passed away, and Bruce just reminded me that Mary LaRusso, Nick LaRusso's mom, passed away, I guess yesterday or the day before. So if we don't mind, just take a moment of silence to remember her. Thank you. Next are our proclamations. Our first proclamation is regarding Arbor Day.
Well, can I do that because I'm involved with Arbor Day? Arbor Day 2017. Whereas in 1872, and you see it's kind of connected with the Borough of Belmar's date, if you look at that Borough of Belmar flag over there, we were established in 1872. J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska on that day. whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. Whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil from the wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, whenever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas Belmar was just designated Tree City, USA by the Department of Agriculture. I just added that. Now, therefore, the mayor and council of the Borough of Belmar do hereby proclaim April 28th, that's last Friday, 2017, as Arbor Day in the Borough of Belmar, and the mayor and council hereby urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support the efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Thank you, Council President. I also have a proclamation to read. This is regarding Municipal Clerk Week. Whereas the office of Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of municipal clerk, now therefore the mayor and council of the Borough of Belmar do recognize the week of May 7th through May 13th as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, April Claudio, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to communities. Let's hear it for April Claudio. And we're supposed to buy you lunch every day? Is that? Next are workshop discussions. First one is going to be Fire Marshal's update from our relatively new Fire Marshal Ryan. Ryan, just come up to the microphone. I think all the members of the council have met Ryan.
Yes.
Correct?
He's got a pretty good name, a short letter.
Mayor, Council, thanks for having me tonight. The update is on April 11th, we conducted a life hazard inspection at the Marina that had the Valentine's Day fire. On that inspection, we had 29 violations, maintenance code violations. Since then, there was a re-inspection conducted on May 11th, so 30 days afterwards. And out of the 29 violations, 23 were abated. The other 6 are to be completed within the next 2 to 3 weeks. That includes 2 permanent inspections that I've scheduled, as well as getting his operation plans. Since the incident, we've set a shrink wrapping protocol with him that he's will be complying with, to include shrink wrapping not to be done in the racks, is to be done away from any other boats, no boats on top, and with 2 fire extinguishers in the vicinity. That's all part of his permit conditions, and he understands his conditions.
You and I spoke about some of the concerns the residents had regarding the boats, the tips of the boats being either close to or on or over the property line. How's that been addressed, and what's that going to look like going forward?
On April 11th, I took measurements. He was 2 feet from the property line. At this point, his racks are moved back to 15 feet. Within our code, it gives us an allowance as long as there's no immediate life hazard, to grant him access way. And our condition right now is the 15 feet rack mark and access for firefighters, emergency personnel, if there was an emergency, that they can access there. In April, when the first inspection was done, there was motors and storage that has since been removed.
When you say motor storage, you mean along the fence line?
Along the fence line between the racks, that's all been, or is being taken care of.
And moving forward, that's going to be an area, again, between the racks and the fence line, that'll be empty.
That is to be clear, yes.
And we have an ordinance on tonight that codifies part of this, is that right?
I believe.
No, Mayor, in terms of the ordinances around tonight, we have an introduction. Fire official brought to my attention that there were several provisions and certain numerous powers that a fire official ordinarily has that weren't contained in your code,
Okay.
such as fire lane. So that is on for introduction today. On workshop, we'll be discussing a specific commercial boat storage ordinance that's on for workshop that, I'd like some more input in, given that you guys know the circumstances on the ground, and so does Ryan more than I do. So we'll work on that tonight as well.
Oh, right, I got you. Any questions from the council members?
Yeah, Ryan, I see in one of the ordinances we're going to be bringing up, fire lane has to be 18 feet wide, correct?
If that's what that says, yes.
So why don't we have a fire lane between the property, residence property, and the boats? So that would push the boats and the racks back even further. I think every foot or two that we can get would be...
The fire lane's meant for like fire department access.
Well, wouldn't the fire department need access, let's say if a fire breaks out, to get between the boats and the residence property?
Yeah, our discussion would be that the 15 feet would be ideal for the fire department.
Ideal, but 18 feet might be ideal for the residents.
Well, the 18 feet, correct me if I'm wrong, the 18 feet is the access
road.
coming into the
Correct,
marina,
yeah.
where now it's painted yellow.
Mhm.
What, I think what you were talking about when it comes to the area around
The
around the
operational
fencing,
area.
there's not going to be a need, and you probably couldn't even really drive a fire truck
No, you
in
do
that
not,
area.
no.
But you need
And
to be able
our
to have
concern was
access.
the access for the fire
Firefighters.
department or emergency personnel to get back there between the racks.
But not for equipment,
Not for equipment, no, for operational purposes.
Right, so the 18
So if they had to
feet-
use a ladder,
The 18 feet's for equipment.
yes.
That make sense?
I would think being able to get a truck back there, it would be better than being able to get a ladder and a person back there, I think.
Yeah. In that area, it's going to be inaccessible. The fire truck couldn't make the turn from the driveway there.
You know better than I was just thinking that the further we can get those boats and the racks away from the property lines of the residents, the better. And being a little cynical, I bet you, is this person just following the rules now, and in 6 months, a year from now, they're going to be squeezing them back closer and closer, or will you be going back and inspecting?
That's why I'm able to do any complaint inspection, so if anybody has a complaint, they can always call my office, make a complaint. But that's why we're getting copies of his operational plans and his site plans, so he has to follow his operational plans.
What kind of information is in the operational plan?
Operational plan, so what I requested was his shrink wrapping protocol, so when he's going to be doing the hot work near the boats, and also his summer storage plan and his winter storage plan. So including max occupancy of boats,
Right.
et cetera, transportation, and all that.
Okay. I have one other question. I had a chance to go and look at that property shortly after your original inspection. And he had cleaned up some of the stuff, but there was still construction debris, pieces of wood.
Yes, that's in the process of being taken out.
Right. Do you know what he's doing with it?
I do not know what he's doing with it.
I mean, I just want to make sure that he's not taking one problem from one place and putting it somewhere else. So
Yeah,
somebody-
right now I did see he is storing his motors on the adjacent to the parking lot across the street, but they will be removed.
Okay.
That's part of the 15 feet violation.
Okay. So the 15 feet counts on the lot across the street?
Counts for any property in town.
Okay. All right, that's good.
When do you do normal inspections? Once a year on the property?
It depends on the property location. The state has what's called life hazards and non-life hazards. So a normal mom and pop store would be a non-life hazard. They get done annually.
Right.
Life hazards, depending on the business, a business like DJ's gets done quarterly. That's all.
On something like the Marina? Would that be
Marina's
quarterly?
once a year.
Once a year.
once a year.
All right, so then you'll be on top of all that, and it seems like he's compliant with all.
Yeah, no, he,
everything you want him to do.
I mean, I was on vacation, he probably called me 5 to 6 times after this inspection and was complying.
Well, that's good, we have
Yeah.
a cooperative property owner.
That's a good question. So in your experience working with the property owner since the fire on Valentine's Day, would you say that he was cooperative, has been cooperative?
He has been very cooperative with me, and I was actually very surprised that much got done that quickly.
What's there now that would have mitigated against, or would have helped suppress some of the fire that occurred on Valentine's Day?
As we said, the permit conditions, so him not being able to, the Marina not being able to do the shrink wrapping and the wraps.
What about
that puts
fire
it-
extinguishers?
Fire extinguishers too. He did get, I believe there's 15 to 20 more on property now.
Because there weren't any, I don't think.
I was not here for them, so I can't comment on that.
Okay. Any
Thank
comments,
you.
questions for?
How about our own marina? Have you checked?
No, I have not inspected them yet. They're on our to-do list.
Okay.
I want to thank the fire marshal for his diligence. This is a problem I'm happy to see being addressed. I really appreciate the work you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. And I think this is the first time we've had a fire marshal come speak to the council.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's how I'm, yeah.
So thank you very much.
And like I said, any complaints that you guys have or get, always forward to my office, and same with the public. If you guys have any complaints, just forward it to my office, and we'll get to them quickly. We just got another inspector on board, so we,
Well, don't go anywhere, because we are going to talk about the marina boat storage
Okay.
ordinance. So Greg, I have it down. Do you want to talk about this, or do you want, I mean, basically, I think the idea is to take what Ryan's talking about and put it into an ordinance, because, and you know land use far better than me, but currently, the marina is pre-existing non-conforming to whatever he's doing. Whereas, once he pulls the boats back and we put an ordinance into effect, then he can no longer bring them back to within 2 feet of the property line.
That's correct, Mayor.
All right.
In short.
And then the other fire suppression stuff, we'll put that in the ordinance as well, so it's not just
Yes,
enforceable on a state
I drew up
level,
a
but
sample
also-
ordinance, as a matter of fact. So you already have in your general zoning regulations, under section 40-7.18, storage of boats and recreational vehicles. They principally relate to regulations for storing boats on, put RVs to the side, because that's not really salient to the conversation. With respect to boats, you have strict restrictions on where people can store them on their residential property, obviously, as most towns do. You also have restrictions for the commercial business district and business commercial zones. But you did not have any for the marine commercial zones.
Right.
So what I've added is a section C to your current general zoning regulations that addresses the MC1 and MC2 zones. And I can already tell you, in fact, we workshopped this, I had put in 10 feet, so I will change that to 15 feet based on what Ryan just said.
Well, I think it's the racks, it's the boats are 10 feet.
Yes, it says all boats, or this requires all boats or parts, sections, pieces, or appurtenance of boats must be stored at least, I wrote 10 feet, let's call it 15 feet from all property lines, except that no such setback shall be applicable along any property line that is adjacent to a navigable waterway. So in case you have racks that come up out of the water, it's not really a fire hazard given it's over water, and I think that's what we're really trying to address.
That's fair.
And then that also, in the next section, it says, all racking or multi-level boat storage systems must be located at least 10 feet, which I'll make 15 feet in the introduced version, from all property lines, except no such setback shall be applicable next to the water. It also requires all boats, sections, pieces of boats on any storage system to be securely affixed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. It requires all boats to be completely drained of gasoline, oil, or other combustible liquids before being affixed to the racks.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
then the fifth is all racking or multi-level boat storage systems shall be equipped with a fire suppression system appropriate to the storage application. Those are the 5 requirements that I put in. That I know that Ryan, I've actually met with Ryan last week, and we discussed some of these along with the colony administrator.
Gotcha.
If you have anything else that you think is pertinent, I'd be more than happy to include it.
All right, and then we'll put that on for introduction at our next council meeting.
Yes, and I've already changed, assume that I've already changed it to 15 feet that Ryan's enforcing. And if you guys have any other things that pop into your head, or if residents read the minutes or review the video and have see something, you know, obviously I don't have a bird's eye view of the marina and the area and the MC1 zone, so, you know, if you guys think of something else that I haven't thought of, please let me know and we can put that in there as well for introduction.
How many levels on the rack? Are they limited to
I think there's
2, 3, 4?
Well, he's got 3 now.
There's 3, but you're also limited by the equipment he has there. Yeah.
You're limited by the equipment, and you're also limited by the height restrictions within the zone already.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I
you
don't
have
know what that is on
three.
top of my head, but you obviously can't go higher than that.
Yeah, why don't we put that in the ordinance so that he doesn't in the future go, you know, wow, I can make more money by getting four levels, let me buy the equipment so I can get 4 racks, because it's not in the ordinance. So we're proactive when we put in the ordinance 3, that's it, so, you know.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
We make the racking
Might as
systems
well.
number 6, 3 levels only.
3.
That's possible. I mean, I think that goes directly to your power as a council to regulate health and safety. Clearly, it's easier to put a fire out on a 3-rack system than a 4-rack, so I think you'd be allowed to do that.
Rather than, I mean, God forbid he comes up with like really short boats and he can get it into the height. Who needs to be, what's the point of having 4 levels?
Well, here we go with 4 racks, because you could probably make more money.
Yeah, well, that's the point.
Yes,
But
so,
I don't think the safety issues are.
Right.
outweigh that.
Anything else on this, or?
No, I think. this-
So we'll look for, you'll put it together.
Next direction, I'll put it on for the next meeting for introduction.
All right.
No problem.
Next is Environmental Commission update from Councilman Marina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Environmental Commission's been really doing a lot of work, along with Janice McEwen Blackburn, who's a newly appointed member of the Environmental Commission. We're really working hard to find out what we need to do to renew our Sustainable New Jersey status, because once you have that,
back there, I think.
Yeah. In that area, it's going to be inaccessible. The fire truck couldn't make the turn from the driveway there.
You know better than I was just thinking that the further we can get those boats and the racks away from our property lines, the residents, the better. And being a little cynical, I bet you, is this person just following the rules now, and in 6 months, a year from now, they're gonna be squeezing them back closer and closer, or will you be going back and inspecting?
That's why I'm able to do any complaint inspection, so if anybody has a complaint, they can always call my office, make a complaint. But that's why we're getting copies of his operational plans and his site plans, so he has to follow his operational plans.
what kind of information is in the operational plan?
Operational plans, so what I requested was his shrink wrapping protocol, so when he's gonna be doing the hot work near the boats, and also his summer storage plan and his winter storage plan. So including max occupancy of boats,
Right.
et cetera, transportation, and all that.
Okay. I have one other question. I had a chance to go and look at that property shortly after your original inspection. And he had cleaned up some of the stuff, but there was still construction debris, pieces of wood. and
Yes,
stuff.
that's in the process of being taken out.
Right. Do you know what he's doing with it?
I do not know what he's doing with it.
I mean, I just want to make sure that he's not taking one problem from one place and putting it somewhere else. So
Yeah,
somebody-
right now, I did see he is storing his motors on the adjacent to the parking lot across the street, but they will be removed.
Okay.
That's part of the 15 feet violation.
Okay. So the 15 feet counts on the lot across the street?
It counts for any property in town.
Okay. All right, that's good.
When do you do normal inspections? Or once a year on the property?
It depends on the property location. The state has what's called life hazards and non-life hazards. So a normal mom and pop store would be a non-life hazard. They get done annually.
Right.
Life hazards, depending on the business, a business like DJ's gets done quarterly. That's all.
On something like the Marina? would that be
Marina's once
quarterly?
a year.
Once a year?
Once a year.
All right, so then you'll be on top of all that, and it seems like he's compliant with all.
Yeah, no,
everything you wanted to do.
I mean, I was on vacation. He probably called me 5 to 6 times after this inspection and was complying.
Well, that's good, we have
Yeah.
a cooperative property. owner.
That's a good question. So in your experience working with the property owner since the fire on Valentine's Day, would you say that he was cooperative, has been cooperative?
He has been very cooperative with me, and I was actually very surprised how much got done that quickly.
What's there now that would have mitigated against, or would have helped suppress some of the fire that occurred on Valentine's Day?
As we said, the permit conditions, so him not being able to, the Marina not being able to do the shrink wrapping in the racks.
What
that
about
puts
fire
it-
extinguishers?
Fire extinguishers still. He did get, I believe there's 15 to 20 more on property now.
Because there weren't any, I don't think.
I was not here for them, so I can't comment on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Any
Thank
comments,
you.
questions for?
How about our own marina? Have you checked?
No, I have not inspected them yet. They're on our to-do list.
Okay.
I want to thank the fire marshal for his diligence. This is a problem I'm happy to see being addressed. I really appreciate the work you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. And I think this is the first time we've had a fire marshal come speak to the council.
Absolutely.
Right?
Since I've been on, yeah.
So, thank you very much.
And like I said, any complaints that you guys have or get, always forward to my office, and same with the public. If you guys have any complaints, just forward it to my office, and we'll get to them quickly. We just got another inspector on board, so we,
Well, don't go anywhere, because we are going to talk about the Marina boat storage
Okay.
ordinance. So Greg, I have it down. Do you want to talk about this, or do you want, I mean, basically, I think the idea is to take what Ryan's talking about and put it into an ordinance, because, and you know land use far better than me, but currently, the marina is pre-existing non-conforming to whatever he's doing. Whereas, once he pulls the boats back and we put an ordinance into effect, then he can no longer bring them back to within 2 feet of the property line.
That's correct, Mayor,
All right.
in short.
And then the other fire suppression stuff, we'll put that in the ordinance as well, so it's not just
Yes,
enforceable on a state
I drew up
level,
a
but
sample
also-
ordinance, as a matter of fact. So you already have in your general zoning regulations, under section 40-7.18, storage of boats and recreational vehicles. They principally relate to regulations for storing boats on, put RVs to the side, because that's not really salient to the conversation. With respect to boats, you have strict restrictions on where people can store them on their residential property, obviously, as most towns do. You also have restrictions for the commercial business district and business commercial zones. But you did not have any for the marine commercial zones. So what I've added is a section C to your current general zoning regulations that addresses the MC1 and MC2 zones. And I can already tell you, in fact, we workshopped this, I had put in 10 feet, so I will change that to 15 feet based on what Ryan just said.
Well, I think it's the racks, it's the boats are 10 feet.
Yes, it says all boats, or this requires all boats or parts, sections, pieces, or appurtenance of boats must be stored at least, I wrote 10 feet, let's call it 15 feet from all property lines, except that no such setback shall be applicable along any property line that is adjacent to a navigable waterway. So in case you have racks that come up out of the water, it's not really a fire hazard given it's over water, and I think that's what we're really trying to address. And then that also, in the next section, it says, all racking or multi-level boat storage systems must be located at least 10 feet, which I'll make 15 feet in the introduced version, from all property lines, except no such setback shall be applicable next to the water. It also requires all boats, sections, pieces of boats on any storage system to be securely affixed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. It requires all boats to be completely drained of gasoline, oil, or other combustible liquids before being affixed to the racks. And then the fifth is all racking or multi-level boat storage systems shall be equipped with a fire suppression system appropriate to the storage application. Those are the 5 requirements that I put in. That I know that Ryan, I've actually met with Ryan last week, and we discussed some of these along with the colony administrator. If you have anything else that you think is pertinent, we'd be more than happy to include it.
All right, and then we'll put that on for introduction at our next council meeting.
Yes, and I've already changed, assume that I've already changed it to the 15 feet that Ryan's enforcing. And if you guys have any other things that pop into your head, or if residents read the minutes or review the video and see something, obviously I don't have a bird's eye view of the marina and the area and the MC1 zone. So, if you guys think of something else that I haven't thought of, please let me know, and we can put that in there as well for introduction.
How many levels on the rack? Are they limited to
I think there's
2, 3, 4?
Well, he's got 3 now.
There's 3, but you're also limited by the equipment you have there. You can't.
You're limited by the equipment, and you're also limited by the height restrictions within the zone already.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I don't know what that is off the top of my head, but you obviously can't go higher than that.
Yeah,
without a
why
zoning
why don't
variance.
why don't we put that in the ordinance so that he doesn't in the future go, wow, I can make more money by getting four levels, let me buy the equipment so I can get 4 racks, because it's not in the ordinance. So we're proactive when we put in the ordinance 3, that's it, so,
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
We make the racking
Might as
systems
well.
number 6, 3 levels only. Great, that's possible. I mean, I think that goes directly to your power as a council to regulate health and safety.
Mhm.
Clearly, it's easier to put a fire out on a 3-rack system than a 4-rack, so I think you'd be allowed to do that.
Rather than, I mean, God forbid he comes up with like really short boats and he can get it into the high. Who needs to do, what's the point of having 4 levels?
well, here we go with 4 racks, because you could probably make more money.
Yeah, well, that's the point.
Yes,
But
so,
I don't think the safety issue is up.
Right.
I'll bring that out.
Anything else on this, or,
No, I think.
so we'll look for, you'll put it together.
Can I have direction? I'll put it on for the next meeting for introduction.
All right.
No problem.
Next is Environmental Commission update from Councilman Marina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Environmental Commission's been really doing a lot of work, along with Janice McEwen Blackburn, who's a newly appointed member of the Environmental Commission. We're really working hard to find out what we need to do to renew our Sustainable New Jersey status, because once you have that, it makes you eligible for grant money that's, otherwise you're not eligible for, and there's lots of money there to be had once we have that status. It just makes it easier to get certain kinds of funding. Also, we're going to be appointing a new Environmental Commission member tonight, because we could use more people there. It's one of those things where it's the same people every month, and although everyone's trying to get a lot done, many hands make lighter work, and that's what we're kind of looking for now. Those meetings are the second Thursday of the month at the library, and they start at 6:30. I know there's some discrepancy about what's listed on our website. They start at 6:30. We've had people come in thinking that we're starting later than that. Members of the public are welcome to attend these meetings. They're welcome to come, and because we're always looking to get some input, and we're always looking for people to help us with projects. 2 of the projects that are happening right now, the Environmental Commission is they're sponsoring a logo contest. As many of you know, I'm really concerned about the number of plastic bags that we have entering our environment. That's one of the top 3 items that's picked up every time there's a cleanup, cigarette butts being number 1. And we've been looking at different ways to try to reduce the amount of bags that are used here in Belmar. Rather than try to regulate them through ordinance, what we're going to try first is we're going to try to educate people and get them to basically voluntarily stop using those bags. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a contest to design a logo. The Environmental Commission has come up with the slogan, "I'm the solution to plastic pollution." The contest will be open to students grades 4 through 12, so that's 4th grade up through high school, and not just to Belmar students, because we want to make sure that we're educating the community all around the shore. The winner will be picked by Friday, right before Memorial Day weekend, and then we're going to have an announcement and a ceremony for all the participants the following week at Taylor Pavilion on Thursday, June 1st. Once we have a winner selected for the logo contest, we're going to put that logo on reusable bags. We're deciding, there's several options to have, depending on durability and cost, but the bags will be given out for free. We're going to encourage people to have those bags and use them again and again and again. And along with that, we're going to make decals with the logo on them, and we're going to approach the merchants in town. It's an opt-in program. If they want to post that logo in their shop, then we'll give them the bags to use with their customers as well, and that way they won't be using any plastic bags. At the same time, we're gonna start putting together a way for people in town. I mean, many people know that you can recycle your plastic grocery bags, and that's the main source of those bags, in my opinion, is from supermarkets. But several of the supermarkets in the area have recycling on site. You can bring those bags back and put them in their bin. I'd like us to put our own recycling receptacle at our recycling center. It just makes sense. So we're working on doing that. The other project we're working on with the Environmental Commission is working to rebuild our dunes down at the boardwalk. As many of you have heard, when I was working on the boardwalk before Sandy and after, one of the things I saw was how the vegetation that was on the east side of the boardwalk built the sand up in certain parts of the boardwalk. Some places there was no dune, where there was no vegetation. Other places there was sand piled up with plants growing. So a lot of dune grass in some places, other kinds of plants. You could see the difference after the storm because the places that had dunes, the boardwalk didn't end up all the way across the street in the houses' yards on the other side of Ocean Avenue. The boardwalk didn't travel that far. In some places, it wasn't moved that much at all. We need to find a way to recreate those dunes, and the best way to do that is to encourage them naturally with vegetation. It's actually kind of happening on its own right now, but that's just weeds that grow in the grass. Since we installed the skirt on the west side of the boardwalk and the wind doesn't blow through as much, it's really encouraged the growth of plant life, but again, it's mostly just weeds. And if we don't do anything, that's what we're gonna get. We're gonna get weeds in dunes and it's gonna grow up. We've worked with the DEP and actually members of the National Park Service to develop a list of salt-resistant beach, native mid-Atlantic, New Jersey coast beach plants that grow with, well, hopefully minimal maintenance. The idea being we plant them and then we don't have to worry about them. If we plant them down at grade where the sand is right now, over time, that vegetation is going to grow up and the sand is going to pile up around it. The roots of the plants are going to get deeper, the dune's going to get higher, and it's going to be a much more permanent, much sturdier dune, rather than, I mean, not to fault any other municipality's efforts, but, throwing old Christmas trees in and pushing sand on top of them. I mean, yeah, you can make a dune that way, but that's not going to hold up over time. What you want is something that's actually part of the ecosystem on the beach. So we're planning a pilot project in one small section on the beach. We pretty much missed our window at this point because it took a long time to really find it. Part of the problem is it's hard to find a grower who has some of these plants. They're not that common in the retail or the wholesale nursery market. But we found one nursery that has, and we actually found two nurseries that have 5 of our 13 plants that we're looking for. We're going to work with them to get those, get some decent prices on them, and also to see if they'd be willing to propagate some of these other plants that aren't that common. The idea being that they might be interested if they know that once we have this pilot working and we know that we're going to use these plants, we're talking about at least a mile of needing these plants. So I would think the economic incentive for a grower would be there, and hopefully that'll work out. Those are some of the big projects that the Environmental Commission is working on. I'm really excited to see how that happens, and I'm really excited to see what the logos look like, because you never know. You never know.
Thank you. Any questions for Councilman Brennan on the Environmental Commission? Nope. All right, thank you. Next, approval of the, petitions. Any petitions for the mayor and council? See any? Next, approval of the minutes.
Okay, I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on April 4th, 2017 be approved as recorded and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
Second.
Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Luxford?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next are reports of the council. Council President McGovern, would you like to kick us off with reports?
Yes, I would like to kick you off, yes. I'm going to talk about the Arbor Day program. We had 2 very successful Arbor Day programs. When I say we, the Belmar Shade Tree Commission, myself, Janet Grosshandler, Rose DeGagna, and Sal Suselli, we went to the 4th grade classes of both Belmar Elementary and St. Rose Grammar School. About 100 students all told. At the school, we planted a Rutgers-developed tree called the scarlet dogwood and another scarlet dogwood at the library for the St. Rose students. It was very successful. The kids really knew a lot about trees and how they affect their environment. They're really on top of things, so that's really good to know. When we got to the library staff was very accommodating. They offered the students cookies and drinks. Sal Suselli was there with the front end loader, and he let the kids drive that around the grass. I just said that for the camera, so when Mike tomorrow and John McGuire see that, they'll drop real quick. No, but the kids had a very good program. I appreciate the police. They escorted the St. Rose students down to 10th Avenue and back. The new 4th grade teacher at St. Rose was she came from another town. She was really impressed that that Belmar would send a policeman into the classroom, walk the students down, come back with us. So she was her first year with our Arbor Day program, she was impressed. I went to the retirement dinner for a longtime friend, Joe Nealon. He worked for Belmar for 32 years, but he was also a longtime assistant with me in the recreation department. I remember my first year as the basketball recreation director. Joe was my assistant, and the first week I would call his house, his mother would answer, and finally she said, "Brian, does Joe know he's supposed to be there at 6 o'clock?" I said, "Yes." "You don't need to call." And for the next 20 plus years, 10 minutes before game time, that door would always open, Joe was always there. As reliable as you could get. And I can't say enough about how good a job he did. The other pavilion was open. I was very impressed that Belmar attracted 2 United States senators, a congressman, and the state assemblyman. So that was really, and the other pavilion is in great shape. You missed them, Tom. For the 14th year, I went out to Silver Lake Island this past month to oil the eggs. Can't believe there's still two Canada geese nests on the island. I didn't know birds lived that long. My first year in 2004, there were 25 nests. Now they're down to 2. There are 15 eggs. I know they're the 2 original Canada geese because they know me by name as soon as I come up. They say, "Hey, Brian, how you doing?" But oiled the eggs. I don't see any goslings swimming in the lake, but we do have 4 new swans. And I just want a shout out to Trish Pellick, the mother of our special officer, Kyle Pellick. Trish is getting her associate's degree in education from Brookdale. What's so impressive about that is she raised 4 children, and it's taking her 30 years to get that associate's degree. So that's a lot of perseverance and a great accomplishment, and a shout out to Trish Pellick. That's my announcement.
Councilman Walton.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I would like to thank my fellow council members and the mayor for moving the meeting to Thursday. I had a conflict on May 2nd and wouldn't have been able to attend the meeting, so I do appreciate it, and I hope I haven't caused anybody any issues with tonight's meeting. But so thank you for that. The other thing I have is Harbor Commission. We met after the last meeting. Mike Campbell and Colleen have worked out the problems that we had with the sailing program. They're putting in portable docks. Mike Campbell has the crew building them, and that'll straighten out the problems we had down there. So the sailing program will be up and running this year. And Ed is helping us redesign the website so we can promote the Marina a little bit better, and we're working on that, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Brennan, you have anything, or you?
You know, I've already talked a lot, but I did want to add one more thing. I wanted to thank our 2 U.S. senators and Congressman Pallone. After the opening ceremony for Taylor Pavilion, they held a press conference in which they voiced their opposition to the proposal in Washington to open up the Atlantic coast for oil exploration and possible drilling. And one of the things, I mean, it just ties in with plastic bags. I mean, that's where plastic comes from. Maybe if we can reduce our use of plastic bags just this much, it'll do something to offset any urge on any oil company's part to try to drill in the Atlantic. I mean, I don't think I have to really convince anybody here how important it is. I mean, Belmar and a lot of other shore towns would not exist if they didn't have a beach. Belmar is here because we have a beach. And to run the risk of anything happening to that beach, even if it's only like a 5% risk, I mean, if something like that happened, it would be devastating. It would be absolutely devastating. I can't even imagine what would happen to our town if something happened and that kind of stuff ended up on our beaches. You know, a lot of you know that I have family in New Orleans, so we are able to follow some of the news that we don't necessarily hear up here in our general media, and they're still a mess from Deepwater Horizon. The fishermen catch fish that you can't eat because they're contaminated. There's still tar balls, and the other kind of things washing up on the beach. It just doesn't get heard up here, but it's definitely still happening down there, and it's not going to stop. God forbid anything like that ever happened here. So I commend our senators and our Congressman Pallone for saying what they said. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nicolay.
Yes, it is May. It's Paint the Town Pink Month. As a breast cancer survivor, I'm very excited to see the town getting pinked up. We also held an event at the Belmar Elementary School where each student was given a 2-foot piece of ribbon that they placed their name on, wrote their name on, and they all got to tie it along the fence at the Horseshoe by Dunkin' Donuts by the school to show their support of this month and cancer itself and being healthy. We just gave them a real good message to think about, and all their names are on the fence. It looks beautiful. It's a sea of pink, and we also collected over $200 from them that went to Belmar Cares, which is Belmar's own breast cancer support group. We had an event last night in the pink. I don't know if anybody attended, but it was a great event where we gave free pink manicures, and we also had Dr. Denise Johnson Miller speak. She's the top breast surgeon at Jersey Shore University Medical Center, and she gave a great speech on the do's and don'ts and mammograms and just health in general. And it was followed up by a chiropractor, Dr. Gupta, who was great. This is her first year that she spoke to us. She talked about vitamins and everything you put in your body is either good for your body or bad for your body. Just went on and on and on. It was incredibly informative and very enjoyable, so that was nice. We also collected some money there for Belmar Cares, so thank you for everybody that made the donations. May 15th, Belmar Cares as well. 6:30, the Atlantic Wind Ensemble is going to be playing, and I hope you would all attend. It will be at Taylor Pavilion, so it'll be really nice. It's a free event. And again, 6:30, May 15th. May 20th, the school, the PTO, Belmar Elementary PTO, is having their gift auction, Sweets and Treats, and that will be at Bar A at 1 p.m. So again, that's May 20th. I hope you can join us and support the school PTO. And this is the last week for the juried art show at Belmar, at the Belmar Arts Council. Please, if you can get over and see that, it's a great exhibit. And the next exhibit will be the youth workshop, the youth art show, which I want to thank the Shillelaghs again for supporting that and making a donation towards that event. And that will start, I think, the 12th, actually, of May. So if you have any children, I think it's grades 6 through 12 if they'd like to submit artwork. I believe it ends this week or Saturday, and then again the show starts the following week. So that is it. Thank you very much.
Councilman Brennan, is there a fundraiser for the school you were telling me about?
Okay, well, for our band program over at the elementary school, we're gonna have Sure Got Talent. Like that? Catchy. Yes, it's actually an idea that my daughter Ashleen came up with several years ago as a fundraiser. The merchants in town have always been very, very generous. We really tried to design a win-win, my wife, my daughter, and I. The merchants contribute small prizes. We're not putting a big bite on anybody, and they've been very generous over the years, as I said. The students audition, we give out several prizes. It's open to children kindergarten through 8th grade. So kindergartners are cute. They're very cute. It's a good thing. And we're having a car wash on Saturday morning. Thank you for reminding me. Oh, God.
This Saturday morning.
This Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to noon. At 12th Avenue side of the Belmar Elementary School. Bring your dirty car, $5. That's going to be great.
And you'll be doing the washing or just management?
No, I stand there with the megaphone and say, don't get hit by the car, kid. Get out of the way. Stop squirting your friend.
Thank you.
No, it's a lot of fun. It's going to be a nice day.
Thank you. So for my report, one thing I do want to add on to what Councilman Brennan mentioned was the press conference that Senators Booker, Senator Menendez, and Congressman Malone held regarding the ocean drilling or the oil drilling off the Atlantic coast. We mentioned the beach, but it's also the clean water. I mean, unfortunately, most of us here do remember things like red tide and nasty stuff when beaches had to get closed on a regular basis. Whether it was because people thought it was okay to just dump garbage, which is inconceivable now, into the Atlantic Ocean. The idea of drilling for oil off our coasts, could have devastating impacts on our town and our economy. And I would tell you, it's not just off New Jersey. So if they start drilling for oil off of Virginia, and there's an accident like Deepwater Horizon, it's not as if the oil is going to stay on the Virginia coastline. It's going to travel up here and affect us as well. And sort of adding on to what he mentioned about Louisiana or New Orleans, one of the cities that I've had a chance to visit and become friends with the mayor is a town called Pass Christian, Mississippi, which was devastated by Katrina. They lost 26 people in 2005. They're still having a tough time coming back, and part of it is because they have all these fishing boats that go out, and ever since the Deepwater Horizon, which I think was 2011, 12, I forget what it was, they're still trying to manage through that while they're still trying to rebuild homes and build up their businesses. It's certainly something that we just simply do not need off our coast. If they want to do that in the Gulf Coast and destroy their own ecology down there, then that's their decision. But for doing it off the East Coast would be a huge mistake. As Councilman both Brennan and Council President McGovern mentioned, we did reopen the Taylor Pavilion. Aside from our big shot dignitaries, we also had 99-year-old Dot Taylor,
Yes.
who was with us, and she actually cut the ribbon. Her husband and danced with a 96-year-old guy.
Yeah.
So it makes the rest of us feel very lazy. And she, her husband was John Taylor, who was the mayor of Belmar for many years, many moons ago. And it's named in his honor. So it was a nice opportunity for us to rededicate the pavilion that had stood there going back to the 19th century, but most recently was known as the Taylor Pavilion. We had a tremendous turnout, considering we did this on a Monday morning, which is not the easiest time for people to join us, but that was the only time that worked for both Senator Menendez and Senator Booker, so we figured we'd take what we could get. And I would also say, and I mentioned it then, that there really are just far too many people to thank for getting this rebuilt and back in shape. If you weren't there, it really is a magnificent building. We're lucky to have it in our town. And I can tell you that Kelly Williams is doing the bookings, and she is getting swamped. Everything from Boy Scouts to weddings. It's going to be something that's a tremendous asset to our town. Also, the same day, Merrymakers, as people know, won the bid. They're building the kitchen that's going to be housed in the northern part. They should be done May 15th, May 16th, something like that. Hopefully they're done for them in time for the Seafood Festival, which is the following weekend. And they paid up their entire year's rent, giving us a check of $44,500. They gave us a big check, which was not real, but they also gave us a little check that we ran to the bank in cash pretty quickly. So it's nice to have a partner like that at the Taylor Pavilion. Speaking of partners, yesterday there was a small gathering for a private opening of the new Marina Grill at the Marina. This is probably going to open to the public in the next couple of weeks or so. I got to tell you, it's phenomenal. It's like nothing we've ever seen here in Belmar. It's something we should all take a tremendous amount of pride in. And I would tell you, it's because we had the right partner. Chefs International is a real organization. They're local guys. They know what they're doing, and have done an outstanding job at this Marina Grill. If you get a chance, you can go down there kind of now, but you really can't go inside just yet. But I'm telling you, it's going to be a place that everyone wants to go to. Our biggest problem is going to be parking. I would encourage people to ride a bike, walk if you live in town, or ride a bike. Tell your friends from out of town to take Uber, just like when they go to Asbury. But this is going to be something that really has such a positive impact on our community. And again, it's a private-public partnership where we don't put up any money. It's all the money that's all at risk by the private operator. But the day he gets his CO, which I think is probably coming soon, we, the residents of the Borough of Belmar, own that building. And they built it for us to the tune of over $6 million. And they're going to pay us land lease to be there in excess of $235,000 a year moving forward. So both financially and from aesthetics, it's a home run for our town. Last thing I want to end on is we had a very successful town hall back in January. It was pretty well dominated by the tax assessment that was going on at the town. We're going to have another town hall Saturday, May 13th from 11 to 1 at the Taylor Pavilion. We'll go through some budget stuff, but I know that there's always a lot of questions going into the summer as far as what events are going on in town. If there's any changes in regulations going into the summer, so to give people an opportunity in a less constrained, sterile environment to ask questions and hopefully get some good answers to it. So again, that's Saturday, May 13th, 11 to 1 at the Taylor Pavilion. We'll also do a mailing on that as well to let people know and get as many people there as possible. That is all for my report. Next is public session on the resolution calendar. If anyone has a comment, question on just the resolution calendar, please raise your hand. Wait to be called on, come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and then whatever your comment or question may be. This is only on the resolution calendar. Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public portion for the resolution calendar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First resolution is introducing the 2017 local municipal budget. This will be on for tonight. We'll do a public hearing on this June 7th. So just put in your calendar, we usually meet the first Tuesday of the month, but the first Tuesday of the month in June is primary day, so this room is used until 8 p.m., so we're going to push it to the following day, which is Wednesday, June 7th. Some broad stroke highlights on the budget. No tax increase for the 7th year in a row. If you look at the total amount of taxes collected, the total amount of taxes collected in 2017 is less than the total amount of taxes paid in 2010. During that time, if you look at how much we saved relative to 2010, it comes out to about $975,000 that we've saved taxpayers over the last 7 years. We're not simply the only town in Monmouth County, we're the only town in the state of New Jersey that can lay claim to that. Spending is down, but it's a bit misleading to say that we're reducing spending. The reason why the spending is down is quite simply we lost some grant money that we had in the past. So without the grant money, we're not spending the money. The largest influx of money we're going to bring in this year is through the agreement we have with Lake Como, where we provide them with policing services, and they pay us for those services. Last year we did it from May through December, so we brought in some revenue. This year it's the full year, and it's about $1.1 million that we're going to bring in. When you look at the total tax levy on the municipal side, I think it's about $6.7 million. When you look at all the revenue we generate outside of property taxes, whether it's shared service agreements, pilots, concessions like the Marina concession, we bring about $6.1 million in. So that means we almost match the tax levy with reoccurring revenue outside of property taxes. Again, you're not going to find any state or any town in this state that comes close to that. And what's encouraging is because it's all reoccurring, and most of it, or all of it, I think, has a small percentage increase of 2% or more, every year we're going to be able to have good news on revenue. Every year we should be setting a record for how much revenue we generate outside of property taxes. So this year was better than last year, and 2018 should be better than 2017 as well. So those are sort of the broad strokes. The municipal budget itself also, another place where we're increasing our debt payment. We're going to increase how much we paid out in principal over last year, just to try to pay down our debt as much as possible. We're also regenerating our surplus and adding to it a little bit. Not a lot, but about $60,000 to our surplus. The budget is online now
Yes,
for folks to review. Do you know where it is exactly?
under the financial records section.
So it's online records, financial section?
Right.
Okay, so online records, financial section. Take a look at it. If you have any questions, you can always email me, mayor@belmar.com. I will forward them on to our CFO, who's smarter than me, and get you an answer back. Some other things that you'll see in it is the tax rate has dropped significantly. The reason why is we had this reevaluation where the total value of all the properties in town is up significantly. So when you keep taxes flat, if the valuations go up, the rate goes down. So we could tell you, hey, we cut the tax rate in half. It's really somewhat misleading because it just is based on the valuations of all the properties. All the properties, by the way, add up to about 3,000, about 2,900 and change in total properties in Belmar. So that's the resolution that's on that I will offer.
One second.
Second?
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes,
Councilman Walker?
Yes.
Councilman Governor?
Yes.
Brian, your judge.
Okay. The second resolution that's on the calendar today is the resolution authorizing payment of bills. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Walker?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes. And the third resolution on the calendar is the resolution of the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Belmar in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, directing the Planning Board to investigate whether certain properties should be designated as an area in need of redevelopment without condemnation, non-condemnation in the redevelopment area. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Walker?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes. And now I have to step off because we're going to talk about recreation. And the reason I do that is the company that has the contract for the recreation equipment is Martirano Recreation. My daughter is married to Peter Martirano, whose father owns the company. So in an abundance of caution, I will step down when they vote on this.
And I'm excited about these. I don't know if any of you have young children, even older children, but our playgrounds are in great need of maintenance, cleaning up, replenishing, making them safer. So these are near and dear to my heart because we go quite often with the kids. I move resolution authorizing contract purchase of playground materials and site work.
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
I move resolution authorizing contract purchase of playground surface materials.
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Next is the consent agenda. As Councilman Brennan mentioned, I believe there's an appointment on here for the Environmental Commission. Another thing you'll see on here is every year we pass a resolution that permits free beach access to active military, their families, and also first responders. One of the additional groups that we're adding to this are military veterans as well. So military veterans also be granted free beach access in Belmar this coming summer.
But it's just the veterans, not the veterans' family, right?
Correct. So it sort of follows the path of the first responder. So the first responder, it's them, but not their family.
So if it's active military, it's their family.
It's their immediate family. So if it's a husband, wife, and, well, children are free anyway.
Right.
So it really would be husband and wife. So I will offer the consent agenda.
Second?
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next are ordinances. So first ordinance 2017-10. This is scheduled for second reading public hearing, but I think we're going to look at making some changes to this. So I'm going to make a motion to table. Is that correct? I'm going to make a motion to table second reading and public hearing of this ordinance.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
All right.
Next is ordinance 2017-11, ordinance amending, this first reading introduction, ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 19 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Belmar, section 19-46, handicap parking spaces, which Councilman
Second.
Walter used to be in charge of.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next ordinance, 2017-12, ordinance of the Borough of Belmar, Monmouth County, Monmouth City, New Jersey, to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. This is on for first reading. We do this every year.
Second?
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Matt, you want to just explain this? I mean, I understand it, but maybe people out in the audience don't. The cap bank.
This allows us to bank the cap that the state permits us, either through taxation or spending. We bank it, and every few years it expires. For the taxation, we banked it, but we've never used it.
Right, we've never used it, but we do it each year in case.
We do it each year as a best practices recommendation with CFO.
Okay. Yes.
Next, ordinance 2017-13, ordinance of the Borough of Belmar amending the revised general ordinances, chapter 28, fire protection and prevention, adding additional fire protection and prevention regulations and enforcement, violations and penalties.
Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Isn't this the one that we're putting on for next month? Or is it- or
No,
is
this
it
is different. This is for Ryan in general. This is not Marina
This
specific.
is just the fire prevention office
Oh, okay, all right,
in
yes.
general.
Councilman Gover?
Yes.
Last one, ordinance 2017-14, ordinance of the Borough of Belmar amending the revised general ordinances, Chapter 40, development regulations to expand the circumstances under which a non-conforming structure may be restored after destruction or casualty. This is off for first reading. The reason why we have this, we have, in the last 12 months, I mean, some really bad fires. On Route 35, most recently on 10th Ave, I think it was over the winter or back in the fall, we had one that had a death on 14th Avenue. And, particularly the ones that just had a fire on 10th Avenue, these houses are old and they're built, they don't conform with existing zoning. None of these folks wanted to renovate their home, but now they got to either renovate or rebuild it completely. So instead of sending them to the zoning board to possibly get shot down, and also to have to go through the zoning board process to begin with, this sort of follows what we did after Sandy for families that had to rebuild that were non-conforming. So this allows them to rebuild what was there before, in this case, before the fire. It doesn't allow them to exacerbate the non-conformity. So, let's say the structure was 30 feet by, or 20 feet by 30 feet, and it was non-conforming to the lot size. They can't go 22 by 30. If they want to do that, then they would still have to get a variance, but this permits them to rebuild what was there before. The other thing we found when we were looking through the ordinance, the one that's on the books now, is that you could only do it if it was more than 70% destroyed, which, in other words, you were incentivized to tell the fire department to stop putting water on your house until more than 70% of it was destroyed. Not that anyone actually knew that, but it just seems kind of silly if it's 70%, 65, 50. If the thing is substantially destroyed, you should be allowed to rebuild, again, on the same footprint, same use. Another example would be if it was a two-family and it burnt down, right now all of Belmar is owned single-family. That person wouldn't be able to rebuild that two-family even though they use rent from the second unit to help offset the mortgage for living there. This would allow them to do that, but again, they couldn't exacerbate it. They couldn't turn it from a two-family into a three-family. So that was a long-winded explanation, sorry. So I will offer for first reading ordinance 2017-14.
Second?
Councilman Brennan?
I'm very happy to see we're doing this. This is an excellent idea. Yes.
Councilman Nicholas?
Just want to clarify that there were 2 deaths in that 14th Ave, which one is horrible, 2 is even worse. Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Waltz?
Yes.
Councilman Gover?
Yes.
Thank you. Next is public session. We're in public session. Brian, you want to run, you don't have to stay here.
No problem. Thank you.
So public session is very simple. Raise your hand when you get called on, come to the microphone. Talk about 5 minutes about whatever's on your mind. Within reason. Hold on a second, get my... Okay. Yes, sir.
Hello, Mayor,
I just,
Council members.
state your name and address for the record, sorry.
Yes, Eric Lenz, 109 16th Avenue, Belmar. That was superfluous. I've lived in Belmar, my family's been here since 1975 in the same house, and the mayor was very intimately familiar with my mom, and he gave her a lot of assistance in keeping her in place in the house, which we thank you for. This house has now passed to me and my wife. We are now the owners. We purchased it, and we'd like to stay here another 42 years, as my family has. I'm going to just read this little prepared statement, if you will. We lived through the bad old days of the 70s and the 80s. I'm sure you all remember Wild West atmosphere. We live between Ocean and A, and for the most part, we've really enjoyed our beautiful town. But there's one important negative issue that we and our neighbors face, and several of my neighbors are here to join me in bringing this to your attention. There are a few rental properties on our block between Ocean and A, and I'd like to bring up three in particular. Number 101, 103, and 107 and a half. We all live within spitting distance of these three houses.
101, 103, 107 and a half.
You got it. Every summer, these are rented out to groups of relatively young folks, and let me start by saying we have nothing against the renters per se. They've been here as long as we have, and we recognize they have the right to be here and enjoy the town as long as they comply with rules and ordinances. However, every summer we face several unacceptable issues with these three houses in particular, and it severely impacts our quality of life. This is a short list of those we face. Loud music, screaming, obscenities all evening until the early hours of the morning, and sometimes continuing again, starting up the next day. We see a lot of arguments between the occupants of these houses and neighboring houses. They come home from the bar, they're a little loopy, and somebody on one porch says something to somebody passing by, and next thing you know, they're jawing at each other in the street at 12, 1 a.m., whatever it may be. Multiple guests arriving at the houses and sleeping there, such that it's not unusual, if you guys were to be there early in the morning on a Saturday, Sunday morning, to see 15 to 20 people roll out of some of these houses, going to get Dunkin' Donuts and some egg sandwiches. We see a lot of trash thrown out in the front yard. It's even worse in the backyards because you don't see it right off the bat. Code enforcement does come around and has made a point. Bob and Frank, I believe, have come around numerous times and looked into that, but it starts to pile up behind the houses before they make an appearance. We see a lot of some vile stuff, men propositioning women, loud, vulgar obscenities from the porch and even approaching them on the street. It's a short distance from the porch to the sidewalk. So none of these are isolated events. They happen routinely all through the summer and every summer. And the impact on the rest of us is that we cannot sleep at night. My house is only about 7 feet from the number 107 and a half. And when these guys are inside their house, they think they're all locked up and within the boundaries of their house, and they are. I'm not arguing that. But when they start chanting and doing the funnels and they're jumping up and down on the floor, we can feel that in my house, in my bedroom, which is right next to their house. We have guests, we have young children, and this behavior is pretty annoying and it's hard to deal with. And how do you explain it to some of the kids? The first answer would be to call and complain to the police, and we've done that every year on several occasions. The police come, they arrive quickly, swiftly, like messengers in the night. I love the bike patrols, love those guys. They're really great. They show up, and they show up stealthily, which is why I really like them. But generally what happens is as soon as the police have left after issuing a warning or a summons, they'll calm down, go inside, and then it starts again, all right? We don't want to waste your police resources and manpower on this continuously. We know that's not good for the town. We know that you have other things, other fish to fry, and we don't want to take you away from that. But it is a problem. In order for us to solve the problem merely by calling the police, we would need to be calling you all the time. That's a bad idea. All three of these homes have been cited as Cat 1 animal houses over the past few years. And we also noticed that despite the multiple times the police have been called just last summer alone, two of these three houses, number 101 and number 103, are not currently listed on the Belmar website, which we find fairly puzzling. We're not sure why. 107 and a half, yes, has 3 summonses currently. We're not sure about the other 2 or why they've fallen off that list. So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we're coming to you to ask for some guidance on how we can improve the quality of life for our residents of our block. And we have a right to expect it, but we also want to work with you hand in hand to find this solution that is going to stop this, or at least bring it within the parameters we can all deal with. Let's see. These issues, they detract from the ability of Belmar to be seen as a family-friendly town where residents can bring up children and grandchildren and enjoy a nice quality of life. We also know that this council has gone to great lengths to protect this image. So in closing, if you think that anything that we're saying is an exaggeration, come on over. Have a seat on our porch, 10, 11 o'clock, Saturday night, Friday night, and we can show you firsthand. But I'm going to stop here, and I would like if you to answer any questions that you may have in regards to what I've just spoken to.
Councilman Walser has experience in this.
We do have a community policing program, and there is a community policing officer assigned to that block. Probably the best course of action would be to get a hold of him or call the police department to find out who that is and set up an appointment with him, and he might be able to help you and pinpoint some of the problems that are right there, and have directed patrols on the weekends right in that area, so.
We're under the impression from reading your town ordinance that there was a program and is, according to the ordinance, is still in place about a police officer, uniformed officer being placed there by either local PD or sheriff's department. Now, I've heard a couple of different reasons why that is not being done and why that can't be done. Can we find out definitively why that cannot be done?
Well, that's sort of up to the discretion of the chief of police.
Well, usually not to cut you off, Larry, but usually that happened when they were cited for an animal house violation in that year, because you get different tenants every year.
Right.
So if they were cited in that year, that's when you would see them starting like in July and August, because they had 3 violations and they become an animal house issue in that year. And then the landlord would have to pay for those extra officers.
Right, I don't see in the ordinance where it says that year. I thought it read that if they had been designated an animal house, that they would have to have the not armed, but a uniformed officer, whether it be Belmar PD or Sheriff's Department, sit out front. Now, we can kill 3 birds with 1 stone here. We have 3 houses.
I would tell you probably the best thing would be to follow what Councilman Walser said, but also we can have the chief of police reach out to you. I mean, he's really the authority on this. I will tell you, one of the ordinances we passed last year permitted the town to withhold CO. And unfortunately, there were 3 properties this year that we've done that for. First time ever. Basically, they were so bad for so long.
None on our list?
No,
No, these 2 properties did not qualify
They did
under
not.
that ordinance.
but there were 3 of them, and the people who rent them obviously aren't happy, and the realtors aren't happy. But at some point, one of our challenges is balancing the needs of the residents and the needs. People have a right to rent out their home.
Absolutely,
and
we're not suggesting otherwise.
I understand that. What I'm saying is we do have a mechanism in place, finally, and we're enforcing it that, and again, we probably have over 350 rentals. How many do we have? Right?
Less than that.
Less than that? But only 3 is not, it's.
The mechanisms in place
You gotta wait
are
one second,
failing.
let me finish.
Excuse me.
It's not a bad number. It'd be better to have 0 and have everyone work and comply. But I would tell you the best course of action would be to talk to the chief of police. I'm sure that they're already, if half of what you're saying is true, like an eighth of it, I'm sure they're already familiar with all 3 homes.
They are.
All right, thank you.
And we also would like to know what is the status of 111 16th Avenue, which is it was the scene of a fire and the house was torn down. There's 1 more property on there that is currently boarded up. We'd like to know if it's going to be taken down or...
Best thing would be to leave your information with April, and she can get in touch with you. I mean, we can't give you an answer tonight on that.
Okay, thank you.
I think maybe what we need to do is make sure that not just the landlords and the rental agents on those properties, but all through town, maybe they're just not as aware as they need to be of this new ordinance that we passed last year, that they know that if they rent to people that are going to be inconsiderate in that way to the neighbors, they run the risk of not being able to rent their property again next year. They need to be made aware of that. So maybe they're the ones, maybe the landlords and the realtors will sort of self-police. So that'll improve the behavior of the renters.
Right. I think, and April may know better than me, I think at least one of those 3 is now going to rent year-round and is no longer going to do a summer rental. Is that right?
Correct.
Is it 1 or 2 of them?
1.
One of
The
them.
ones that aren't getting CO.
The one that's not getting her CO because,
Good.
it's not 1 year, it's not 2 years, it's not 3 times in 5 years, it's every single year. So,
So how long does that last for?
Yeah, can you refresh Do they,
Yeah, I don't
do
remember
they
offhand.
fix or repair what the problem is and then get
I don't know off the top of my head, but there is a time frame in the ordinance that they can't go back to a summer rental.
Is it more like 2
No,
years?
in other
3
words,
years?
let's say they don't get the CO this year.
Mhm.
When's the next time they can get a CO?
That, I'm not sure off the top
Not
of my
sure.
head, but I know there is a time frame.
I think it's
in
at
the
least
ordinance.
1 year.
Yeah, I think it was one.
So they can't fix it and then
Well, there's nothing
be
to
up and
fix.
running, well,
They lose a year.
Yeah,
This year.
they lose the
Which,
time.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but a lot of times the best way to modify bad behavior is to hit them in the pocketbook.
You're right.
So,
The landlord, not the resident.
landlord.
The land, we gotta hit the landlord.
Absolutely.
yeah, we're not hitting residents.
No, not the residents, or the renters. We wanna hit the renters, but we also wanna get the landlord.
Right, right. Yes, sir. No, structural is different. Structural, yeah, that's, you have to see it. This is nuisance.
David Scheck, 302 C Street. Just a quick question. Is the user-friendly version of the budget going to be online soon?
What's the user-friendly?
Well, you have them for 2016, you have the budget and a user-friendly, which is like more simplified. Is that going to be available online?
Yes.
That'll be up soon? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Tom Dilberger, 1000 River Road. A few things. First, Councilman Brennan, about
Just
what
address the
you...
chair, sir.
Yes, that's fine. About your
Just address the
dunes,
chair.
those in Bradley Beach are not, they're not pushing sand on them. That's natural wind covers those Christmas trees. And now only 3 or 4 years later, they have quite the good dunes. Also, on the grass, with Claire Dykey, we planted the grass a few years ago before the storm. All the grass is gone, was gone in the storm. That was nothing, the grass. I mean, I don't mind it, plant your grass. But the dunes must be planted the way Bradley Beach did it. That is the proper way. And it costs nothing because the Christmas trees are old. Just pile them up there, let the sand do the work, the sand and the wind. We're all environmentalists, aren't you? All right? Okay, and about your situation with the bags, there's one phrase here. It says single-use bags. What does that mean? What's a single-use bag?
Means you use it one time.
I use these bags all the time, multiple times. I don't ever throw them away until I'm going to use it for garbage. That's when I throw them away.
That's great, thank you.
So, this idea of even having this thing, that's ridiculous. Also, one other thing, on Dave's blog, you're familiar with it, I'm sure. It says,
Are you referencing this as like a...
it says that
Never saw
it's
it.
a state law that the servicemen get on the beaches cost-free. And we don't have to have this here, all these lines, if it's a state law.
Well, if it's on Dave's blog, it must be
It
true.
must be true.
Absolutely.
So follow his blog a little better than you already are.
Thank you.
let's say,
Thank you for letting me know about
All
it.
right, so you could have saved that. Environmentally, that would have been better. If you'll notice, your last page has only a couple of lines. And you wouldn't have had to waste that paper, right, Brian? Please.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't blame me.
Where do you think paper comes from? Take a guess, come on.
I think I know the answer.
Okay, all right. I know it was a pop quiz. You didn't get a chance to study. About the also, Brian, about the trees that you planted, that you had planted,
Yes,
one at the school, one at the library.
correct.
All right, I have a question. Who dug the holes?
The Department of Public Works.
Okay. What exactly did the children do when they got there?
We brought in topsoil with shovels, and they all went in there and took a shovel full of topsoil and put it in the hole where the tree was planted.
Who put the tree in?
Oh,
Come on, Tom,
Who put the
they're
tree
fourth
in?
grade kids, they're 9 years old,
So
they're
what?
not gonna be able to do it. The tree probably weighs about 500 pounds, give the kids
Well,
a break.
how many kids will it take? Take 4 or 5 kids, 500 pounds ain't nothing, fella.
For a 9-year-old,
For a 9-year-old, 5 9-year-olds can do it.
you're way out of
Trust
line.
me.
You're way out of
Trust me.
line.
Oh, sit down.
Just because you're a Marine, a 9-year-old cannot
Don't
move
tell
the
me
tree.
what a 9-year-old can do and not do.
You don't know.
You don't know either. You're just shooting your
I
mouth
do
off.
so. I've been teaching for 30 years. I know what a 9-year-old can do. You don't
teacher.
know.
You couldn't teach us a fish to swim, fella.
Can't teach you how to swim.
Mr. Dilberger. Mr. Dilberger.
I'm trying.
I
I'm
know.
trying.
You're not trying very hard. Why don't you sit down?
Why don't you sit down?
I am sitting down, boy.
Mr.
You gonna
Dilberger.
teach us something?
Mr. Dilberger.
All right,
No, stop.
let's get back to you,
I'll
Mr.
let you
Mayor.
continue, but you can't insult members of the council.
He insulted me, I can insult him.
You started it.
You started it first.
You started insulting 9-year-old kids.
Ah, why not? They're on the planet, they can be insulted too, kid. All right, Mr. Mayor, let's get to you.
One more minute. Yes, sir.
You said, quote, Chef International, they know what they're doing. Well, that was never the question. The question is, do you know what you're doing? And that's always the question. And with me, the answer is a resounding no.
You don't know what
And
you're
we
doing.
are
I
going
agree
to-
with that.
We are going to see this summer just how much you didn't know what you were doing when you had that Chefs International do their thing. We will see. It will be quite a scene down there. And lastly, you just couldn't let it go about Taylor Pavilion, could you?
We're
You had to
proud
go
of it.
You
We're
had to
proud
go
of it.
crazy and talk and talk and talk about it. You couldn't just let maybe one of you do it and let it go.
We're all proud of it.
Yeah. Senator Menendez, I was glad to see him too. But the next time I see him, he's gonna be dressed in orange, going to Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary. You're a big guy.
You're
You had
ridiculous.
that.
Sit down.
No, I will sit down, because I'm done.
Good.
Thank you, Mr.
Don't.
Dilberger. Appreciate your input. Tom. Excuse me one second. Tom.
Yes, sir.
You're not going to threaten people on the council. Do you
I'm
understand?
not threatening, I'm just telling where I'll
No,
be.
you did. You did. So
I'll give the man satisfaction.
He's an old man.
I'm trying.
That's right, fella. Well, you'll have it easy.
Tom.
He won't stop, I won't stop.
Well, Tom.
Go talk to him.
If you want to remain in this room, you're going to stop talking.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, my name is Nozer Mehta. My wife and I also live on 16th Avenue between Ocean and A. So I just want to briefly say I support everything that Eric just said, and we'd really like some resolution, and I appreciate all the feedback we got from you. But specifically, I want to address the 111 that Eric briefly mentioned. The reason why that is such a big issue for us is when the first house in front burned down in 2010, there's a second house in the back that's been sitting vacant, abandoned for the last 7 years. People have been going in and out of that. Kids have been going in and out. We eventually had somebody come and board out the windows. But there's still kids who go around the back. God knows what goes on there. It's a health hazard. It's a safety hazard. During the summer, people throw all kinds of trash in the yard and nobody picks it up. So I've tried speaking to code enforcement and to the town, and nobody seems to know who owns that house. There's an outfit called Select Portfolio Servicing that's paying the taxes, and the town's position is, as long as the taxes are being paid, there's nothing we can do about it. But I think there should be something done, because as I said, it's a serious hazard, both from health point of view and a safety point of view. You mentioned a little while ago about the issue of houses that are not properly maintained and they burn down. We'd hate to see another fire or some kind of catastrophe happening on a property just opposite our house. So that's the reason why that was brought up. and anything you folks can do to resolve this issue. Find out who owns the house, if it can be torn down, if it can be sold, whatever can be done to the property.
Are there people renting it now?
No, it's abandoned, it's been abandoned for the last 7 years.
The back house?
It's the back house. The front house was burned down, it's been raised, and so there's an empty lot in front, and that's where all the trash gets thrown down and everything. And there's a backyard as well, that's where everyone goes in the back, and as I said, we don't know what goes on.
Just remind me, is there a backyard behind the house in the back? The
Yeah,
back-
very
back
small,
of the
very
house?
small, yeah.
Very, like 3 feet, or is it more than that?
I'm not sure I remember, it's a little more than 3 feet, I
Gotcha.
think. Yeah.
All right, thank you. We'll definitely send code enforcement over. I'll tell you, we do have some problem properties like this where people don't maintain them. It takes a lot for us to be able to go there and do something about it. We usually pass a resolution from the council. We send the Department of Public Works there. We clean it up. We bill the person. They never pay us. We fine them. Sometimes they do pay the fines. And then we tack it on as a lien against the property for when it sells, we get repaid for the landscaping or cleanup, whatever we did. We had to, take down bushes or mow the lawn, things like that. And I guess the same thing would go for cleaning up trash as well. But we can certainly give this property more attention.
Okay, thank you. But just in general, if a property's been lying abandoned for 6-7 years, is there any statute?
Yes.
Is there?
Well, the reason the taxes are so important is because it's one of the criteria of the Abandoned Property Act. When the taxes are being paid, it's prima facie evidence that it's not abandoned. Because the first thing people do when they abandon property is stop paying the taxes, obviously. So that's why the tax issue is important, because if they aren't paying the taxes, then you can deem it abandoned property and take other enforcement
Well, the
action.
taxes may be getting paid by a bank or something, right?
Well, that counts
As
as
I said,
well.
this is not even a bank, it's a place called Select Portfolio Services, and they take over houses.
They
that-
take distressed properties, I'm not familiar with that
Exactly.
outfit.
And I tried calling them, nobody can give me a straight answer.
Yeah, and again, for us to condemn a property, for us to tear it down, for us there's First Amendment rules and regulations, Fourth and 14th Amendment, you can't just take people's property. And again, as Greg said, as long as they're paying the property taxes, it puts us in a bind as far as, again, we can clean it, we can bill them for it, things like that, but as far as taking it over, as far as condemning it, that's tough.
In terms of structure being raised, it sounds like it's boarded up. There's vacant property requirements that it's boarded up, secured, can't be an attractive nuisance. If the structure is unsound or falling over, leaning, precarious leaning over those properties, then that's a different story. The construction official can deem it an unsafe structure, and then the town can take action and lien the property for demolition costs. But in terms of properties that are, like for example, if someone has a boarded up house and they're mowing the lawn, they're paying the taxes, there aren't, raccoons jumping in and out of the windows into your yard, or rats coming out, things like a public health hazard, the town is constrained by, as the mayor mentioned, the 4th and 14th Amendments.
Right, but as Mr. Brennan was just saying, if there are code violations,
Right,
there's
we
still
can look
nothing
into
that
that.
can
The
be
property maintenance code is applicable to every property, whoever owns it, with abandoned.
And our code enforcers they're good with knowing when to make things court mandatory and, to try to encourage people as much as possible. Just sell it and move on, or do something with it. But unfortunately, a lot of times, it's people just sit on these properties, and there may be a family fight, and you never know. In your case, it may just be that they're looking to make as much money as possible, and maybe they're waiting for the market to come back, which may not happen for however many years. So,
All right,
okay,
thank you.
thank you. Yes, Sandy.
Sandy Caputo, 1705 Surf Avenue. Thank you, Mayor. It's going to be beach season very soon. And I want to talk about safety on the beach. Footballs, frisbees, baseball bats, soccer balls, men running with kites. I think this is my 4th year up here talking about this. And I know, I've been going to this beach for over 40 years. At least 2 people in this room that were lifeguards way back then, who remember it was never allowed then. So it wasn't so much of a problem, and everybody knew pretty much. And it's still going on.
Right, I mean, I'll tell you, back in 2011, when I was first elected mayor, we did make changes to the beach. Before I was mayor, you couldn't play ball on the beach. We changed that to allow you to play ball. You couldn't build a sandcastle on the beach. We changed that to allow you to build a sandcastle. Now, they had these regulations in place. I remember talking to the chief of police at the time, and I said, did you guys ever actually write someone a ticket for $25 for building a sandcastle? And he said, of course not. Did you ever write a ticket for someone, throwing a football or playing volleyball? No. I mean, I think that there needs to be, and I think this is probably where you're going, just a better respect between the folks who just want to lay there and hang out and do nothing and have a resting day, and not for nothing, someone who wants to fly a kite, which is not, an unusual thing to see on the beach, or to play volleyball, or to throw a football around. I don't know about baseball bats. That seems a bit much. But I understand your concern, and I think that people need to be respectful in how they play ball on the beach, but I don't think that we want to go down an avenue where we start banning people from throwing a ball on the beach.
I'm talking about football being thrown down by the water where a lot of people are, kids are there, people sitting in chairs, and it's very dangerous.
Right, well that
we
would
can
be...
take the ordinance off, but I'm going to stand here and tell you that it's very dangerous.
Well, that would be the responsibility of the lifeguard. I mean, the lifeguard, Brian can tell you better than anyone up here. I mean, it's their job to ensure that the people who are going in and out of the water are safe. I mean, they not only from drowning, but from other people on there. So if the lifeguard deems that, there's 2 people trying to throw a football where the whole group of kids are going swimming, then yeah, they shouldn't be doing that.
They don't.
What's that?
They don't.
They don't throw the football like that?
No, they do, and
They
the
do.
lifeguards don't interfere.
Well, we can talk with the lifeguards and the Class 1, Class 2 specials that are down there. They should be enforcing that. That they absolutely can.
At least where everybody is.
Right? No, absolutely. But if you're closer to the boardwalk,
Come to the beach, not over by the bridge. Come to the beach on a busy weekend, 8th, 10th, 14th, and that's what you're going to see. Footballs flying around with his kids, 200-pound guy looking up, running. Thank you.
Sure. Yes.
Hi, Molly Spinarkle, 133 Terrace Road. I wanted to thank you for your help in improving the safety at the Marina. My neighbors and I, some that are here and some unable to be here, were here representing our concerns in February, and you assured us that you were going to follow through, and you have thus far. It's been very comforting. And we are asking that you continue to do so to be sure that it remains safe and that the Marina follows the law, follows code, is up to par in every way regarding safety. We're appreciative of what's happened thus far. And I understand that the next inspection is May 11th. So do we understand that we'll hear about that as an update after that date?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it will be as much information as what you got tonight. The next thing that, and we'll send you, if you want to leave your email, we'll send you a copy of the ordinance that'll be introduced regarding the Marina as well. So you can take a look at it beforehand. And as our counsel, Greg Cannon, mentioned, there's something in there or something you think is missing or you'd like to see, please just email him.
You can just email me and I'll send it to you. If you want to send other people's email addresses, I can do the same.
Thank you, I appreciate that. The last piece was, I understand that going forward, there'll be inspections once a year, and if we have complaints of anything that we are concerned about, but being that so much of this is recent change, do you think would there be a consideration for maybe an additional inspection or two through the remainder of this year before we go to yearly? Because 12 months is a long time after such a frightening experience.
I can tell you it'll be more frequently than yearly.
Yes, I would hope so. I mean, I'd love to see at least quarterly, if not monthly, but I'm not in charge.
I think yearly is sort of the standard, but it'll be more often than that.
And if I can push my luck and ask if it'll be a surprise visits, maybe?
It was a surprise to you?
No.
I'll leave that up to the code, the fire marshal. I don't want to tell him how to do his job.
Right, no,
But I can, we can tell him that it's got to be done more often. Again, all indications from him is that the property owner and the business operator is working well with them, is not fighting him on things, not filing lawsuits or other stupid stuff that people tend to do, unfortunately, but actually just wants to have a good operation and respects the fact that the folks that live around there have real genuine concerns, particularly after the fire on Valentine's Day.
Right, exactly. And I think the reason I bring this up additionally is that it's hard to think of things to bring up as concerns other than when an event occurs. Now that we see all that's happening and we hear from you about the steps that have been taken to improve the safety, it's just the only thing we can go by now are the inspections, which we don't have control over. So thank you for that and for encouraging more frequent inspections.
Sure.
Thank you.
Greg, are those inspections, are they public? They're open, right?
The inspection reports?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the inspection reports as well, are fully transparent. You can take a look at them.
Where would I find those?
You can send, you can simply send an email requesting them to, if you send it to me or the clerk.
You send it to...
The easiest, the open requests are typically handled by the clerk. We treat it like an open request and get it to you.
What's that?
I've been sending them to people already.
Yeah, she's already been sent to
I
them.
have it all ready to go.
Thank you. Thanks
Just
so
don't
much.
bother her next week. She's like gonna be
It's a week.
partying.
Yeah,
All right,
it's a week.
It's a week.
Thank you.
Boozing in the office. Just kidding. No one drinks. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Cindy Forsythe. I live at 201 8th Avenue. My question is about the concessions and the food trucks and stuff that are on the boardwalk once the summer's coming. The corner of 8th Avenue is very congested. We have the 7-Eleven is there, and you have that great little strip mall, which is wonderful. But then on the boardwalk, we have the ice cream truck, there's a food truck, there's a big lemonade truck. And then last year we had the beach badges, which I'm assuming will not be there because the pavilion's open.
I'm not sure about where the beach badge will be located, but I can tell you that there will be no food trucks up on the beachfront.
They were great. It's just that they were all there. Like you
Right,
went from
well-
7th Avenue to 1st, there weren't any.
Well, the reason why we put them there was, we had concessions at 8th Avenue before Sandy in the
Right.
pavilions.
Mhm.
We didn't want to negatively impact people's livelihoods because of the storm, so, but we told everyone repeatedly that once the pavilions were done, the food trucks were going to go away.
Okay.
So they had an opportunity to bid. I believe 10th Avenue Freeze Out was one of the winning bidders for 10th Avenue. There's no pavilion at 8th Avenue. And then Merrymakers won the bid for 5th Avenue.
Okay. The other thing was, last year there was a very large white event tent.
There will not be any large white event tent either.
Well, this has been a great night then. Thank you very much. And everybody have a great summer.
You too. Yes.
Janine Monsky, 13th Avenue. You answered one of my questions because I had a question about the music coming out of the food carts because last year it was very loud by my house and it drove me crazy. So there will be no food trucks. Secondly, I wanted to ask about, there used to be garbage pickup pretty much every day Thursday through Monday or so in the mornings after the Mariers would walk by in the evening and deposit their whatever they deposited. And there was like a T-shirt brigade. I noticed last year, not as often. Has any changes been made to that? Who was responsible for those people?
Do you mean people that pick up the
Trash, like the trash that people
Beach-
discard
beach
and don't
critters.
put
Litter.
in the actual bin?
litter, not
Yeah,
trash
litter.
like you put
Right.
out in your garbage can?
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember the Department of Public Works staffs that. They clean up, I think, till about B Street. From Ocean Ave to B Street and the whole beachfront, the boardwalk, which there's not a whole lot on, but there is some on the sand.
I just noticed it was a lot less frequently last year, and I would have to pick it up myself, so I just didn't know if maybe.
I'll find out. I don't think it was altered.
You know what happens sometimes, if it was a big beach day, all their time would be taken up cleaning up the beach first. That's the priority, clean up the beach first.
Then they come to the residential.
Then they come into the residence.
Well,
So-
one of my
If-
recommendations would be, like, when it's time to go home, people start leaving the beach 4 or 5 o'clock, if you could like up the people that go by, to ticket the people that leave their garbage behind, because it's just crazy how many people just pack up their blankets and stuff and leave their stuff behind, and, it's horrible, you have to clean it up. My other thing I wanted to discuss is, I want to compliment you on the environmental resolution for the greenhouse gases, and also your environmental commission. And I noticed that you have a goal to reduce greenhouse gases by 80% by 2050. And I've been kind of interested in this lately because there's been a lot in the news about climate change and scientists and science marches and climate marches. And I just wanted to provide some education that maybe you don't know, because I've kind of wondered myself. They argue that, climate change lends itself towards more intense storms, more tornadoes, more droughts, more rain, more strange weather, hot weather, cold weather, and people wonder, why? Why is that? If the planet is warming, then why aren't we just warm? Why do we get extremes? And I did some research on it, and I found a very concise article on what's going on. I thought I would share it with you. Basically, it's by a climate scientist, and the succinct explanation is both of the poles of our globe are heating up faster than the equator is, which changes the jet stream, lowering its speed and increasing its waviness. So for that, we get more occurrence of hurricanes. I've been here 8 years, and when I built my house, they said, don't worry, put that basement in. We haven't had a hurricane in 100 years, and we've had 3 since I've been here. So I compliment you on that. I want to explain that, and they just said that, the greenhouse gases raise, they're like a glass ceiling, the sunlight gets through, but the warmth doesn't. And as you mentioned in Louisiana, the mayor in the coast of Louisiana said that in 70 years, a coastal community could be completely underwater. So I want to compliment you on the Environmental Commission, your goals, and in regards to your dunes. I think it's great that you're finding out what exactly works and not just putting anything there. And I did actually make the acquaintance of an EPA scientist that kind of specializes on what plants are good for the environment, et cetera. So I could pass that information on to you.
I appreciate it, thank you.
So that's it.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. First of all, my voice isn't 100% there. Sharon Mahoney, 800 Main Street. All of you should know by now, I emailed you a couple days ago with my concern regarding Anchor Tavern. I did some more research in the past couple days, and I would like to know if a couple of these things have actually been followed up on. According to first of all, let me reiterate for people in the audience here. I've been having a noise problem since last summer with Anchor Tavern. The outside bar as well as the inside bar. The inside bar is, we're a neighborhood. I've lived in Belmar since 2012. I went to St. Rose High School. I'm from this area. Frequented a lot of bars in the area, so I'm a patron. I actually did, go into Anchor Tavern a few times. And first of all, I'm sorry, I meant to say I appreciate your response to my email through you, Mr. Walsper, Mr. McGovern, and Mayor Doherty. And the noise at the inside bar is so loud that it's like being at a rock concert, and you can't even talk to the person when you're in there. It's like screaming next door. The bass from the inside is reverberating, outside. And that is part of the problem that I'm having from the inside bar. The outside bar, a part of the issue, I believe, is the hood they put on out there that is making, the noise echoing through that area. According to the noise ordinance, it's 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. The music outside, now I haven't had any live bands this year that I've heard, and I know it's a 3-person thing. So there was a major issue in the very beginning, and that, kind of went away. But they keep the music on outside until almost 1:30 in the morning, and there's nobody out there. And I don't understand, number one, why they do that. That also echoes. But when you have people out there, they talk over the music, so it makes it even, louder. The dishes clinking, everything's going on there. According to the resolution that was signed last year, for the period ending June 30, 2017, the outside dining area had a limit of 44 people. I don't know if any of you have been there on a Friday night or Saturday night. They've exceeded this so many times. And I just pulled this up today. I didn't even know this existed with this limit. I counted the chairs on the way here today. There are places for 90 people outside. The 4 tops, there are 17 4 tops, 4 people per, that's 68 right there, that blows that 44 out of the water. 3 2 tops, which equals 6, and at least 16 bar chairs. So that 44 is doubled with all of those seats out there. Then you have people standing, and you have people yelling and screaming, hooting and hollering. I'm not concerned about the inside area right now, because my concern really is this outside area with the summer getting started. And this past Saturday night, I sent a copy, I don't know if that video came through. It's about 7 megabytes. I wasn't sure if it would get through you all. Was 16 seconds long. But imagine that going from 11 o'clock. I didn't get home till 11 because I was out myself. Until, 1 o'clock in the morning. You have this ordinance on the books for this reason. Speaking, this gentleman, I didn't speak to him, I'm sorry, what he talked about, the 16th Avenue issues, quality of life. I'm a year-round resident. I'm not a renter. I pay a lot of money to live across the street. I don't choose to live there, but it's very hard to find year-round rentals in Belmar, as you all know. It's, seasonal sometimes, and the year-round rentals are very hard to find. So the 44 area persons outside is one issue. On this resolution, the first item on here is counting the people in and out. I don't know if that's being done, or if any record's been being kept of that. Number 5 on this list is the continued use of shush patrols. I don't even know if that's being done either. And I'm assuming that means that there's people outside policing the noise. Last weekend, per the dispatcher that I spoke with 3 times, actually it might have been 2 different dispatchers, but the 3rd time she said they spoke to the manager and the owner. And after the 3rd time calling, they said, they're closing at 12:30. But when you close at 12:30, then you still have people hanging out there. They're no longer serving, but they're hanging out there talking and screaming and yelling. And then by the time they leave, it's almost 1:30 in the morning, if they even leave at that time. So I would like to know what can be done about this problem. Again, it's a neighborhood tavern I have no problem with. I don't hear of any other noise, even walking by Jack's Tavern, walking by 10th Avenue Burrito, not a problem. It's really killing me. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, I would tell you that, when we do get noise calls, the police respond, and they have, discretion as to how to respond when they get there. So, we could talk to our chief of police about it. If you could leave that, or is that your only copy?
It has some scribble on it, but I can email it. But, it doesn't even have the dash.
Can you tell me, what's it say on top for the resolution?
It's 2016-nothing. There's nothing there, so it's missing from that as well.
The liquor license renewal.
It's a liquor license renewal for...
Well, this was the initial one, I think, that was issued to them. This was on the June 8th, 2016 agenda. That's where I pulled this down.
I guess we usually do this yearly's the first meeting in June.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, now
We'll grab a copy of it.
Yeah, now I think in the email you remember, if you read it, I have over 30 noise complaints on record. A handful of them, I actually met with the police officers who have been extremely nice, courteous, but it means dragging myself out, getting dressed, having to go downstairs, meet with them even more, which keeps me up even later when I'm just trying to get to sleep. So that's the other part of the problem, is every time I say, just tell them to keep the noise down, move the people inside, that's all I'm asking. You know, so.
Right, thank you.
So how else, where can I go from here, from this?
Well, we'll look at the resolution. It'll be renewed, I guess, the first meeting in June. That'd be another time to come talk about it because we'll have a resolution calendar. Yeah, as you mentioned, it seemed like you reached out to have you already reached out to the owner of the establishment?
Yeah, and they've been uncooperative.
All right, well, let's talk to our police department about it. You said you filed 30?
There are 30 calls I have on record. I have a list of them in an Excel spreadsheet starting last summer, but only maybe 10 or 12 are official police reports that they actually typed up from a police report and, had to meet with them and whatnot.
Okay. All right. I mean, we want to leave your information. Well, we already have your information because you emailed us. So we can get back to you, but we'll take a look.
Okay. And like the gentleman said before, I hate wasting the police officers' time. The police department, they have better things to do, and I don't know where else to turn, with this issue. So.
Right. No, I mean, I respectfully disagree. You're never wasting a police officer's time. That's what they're there for. They're here to serve the public. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Seeing another public comments, questions, I'll make a motion to close the public portion and adjourn our meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.